discussion about where our relationship is at.
After you made it very clear that you weren't interested in working on a relationship.
Following decades in a plural marriage, sacrificing her own needs and putting her husband's happiness before hers, Christine Brown finally declared, enough. For years, viewers of Sister Wives watched Christine beam through the pain quietly, accept being pushed aside and cling to a marriage that had slowly deteriorated. The cracks were visible to audiences, even when Christine tried to patch them with smiles and perseverance. She had embraced the polygamous lifestyle with optimism, faith, and hope, but time and emotional abandonment wore her down. The breaking point came when her husband, Kody Brown, legally married his fourth wife, Robyn, and gradually drifted away from Christine physically, emotionally, and spiritually. In November 2021, Christine made a groundbreaking decision. She left not only her marriage but also the entire polygamous framework she had spent her adult life adapting to. Her departure wasn't just a split. It was a reclamation of her identity. It was liberation. She didn't simply leave, she transformed. Within months, Christine had lost weight, rediscovered her self-worth, found love again, and embarked on a brand new career as a social media influencer and entrepreneur. Her laughter was no longer forced. Her energy, once drained by the weight of compromise, had returned. And now, she's sharing her truth. September 2025 marks the release of her deeply personal memoir, Sister Wife, a memoir of faith, family, and finding freedom. This isn't just another celebrity book. It's raw, unfiltered, and soul-shaking, a journey through decades of silent suffering, inner conflict, hidden heartbreak, and ultimately, healing. Christine writes not to shame anyone, but to own her narrative. To explain how she went from fading into the background of a shared marriage to emerging into a life built on her own terms. This video takes you behind the curtain of Christine's most profound revelations, her regrets, her triumphs, her marriage to David Woolley, her growing rental business in Utah, and most importantly, how she finally found peace. I was always supposed to be like Robyn, she says at one point in her book, but I'm not Robyn, I'm Christine. And I choose to be free. From emotional confessions on TLC's Sister Wives Tell-All specials to her candid social media. Moments with daughter, truly, and sweet love-filled posts with David. Christine Brown's rebirth is nothing short of a revolution. And in this video, we're walking you through every twist, every breakthrough, and every tear-soaked turning point that made her the woman we see today. So grab a drink, settle in, and stay with us. Christine's story isn't just reality TV ITs. A masterclass in bravery, authenticity, and choosing yourself. It's a quiet morning in Utah. Soft sunlight filters through Christine's kitchen window as she prepares breakfast. The scent of coffee blends with the sound of Truly's laughter and the rustle of a newspaper held by David Woolley. It's peaceful. It's simple, but most of all, it's hers. And this serenity, Christine fought for it. She earned it after years of emotional neglect, after watching her needs take a back seat, and after repeatedly trying to fix a marriage she didn't break. David Woolley wasn't just a second chance. It was a new beginning. Unlike the past, their relationship is built on equality. Christine no longer walks on eggshells. She is loved out loud in the open with no need to hide, apologize, or compromise, the way she used to. In David, she found someone who respected her, celebrated her, and stood beside her, not above her. She started investing in herself, in her health, her business acumen, and her family. Her rental property business began to flourish. And Christine began speaking at women's empowerment events, inspiring others with her story. Suddenly, she wasn't just surviving, she was thriving. But while Christine's journey was one of renewal, through love, Janelle Brown's path took a different route. Janelle didn't find comfort in a new partner. She found it in herself and in her children. When her relationship with Kody crumbled under the weight of years of unresolved tension, neglect, and emotional distance, she was left to face an uncertain future. She had spent decades sacrificing, contributing, and believing that things would get better. But they never did. And so, when she walked away, Janelle wasn't just walking out of a marriage. She was walking into the unknown. It was terrifying. Suddenly, she was a single mother, facing financial instability and co-parenting complications. But instead of breaking, Janelle rose. She poured herself into online courses, devoured every resource she could find about business, personal finance, and property investment. Her evenings became filled with spreadsheets, vision boards, and late-night strategy sessions, with every small win getting approved for a loan, finding a promising property. Launching a personal project, she regained confidence. Her children became her biggest cheerleaders, constantly reminding her that she was not just surviving. She was building something powerful. Janelle's path wasn't romantic. It was revolutionary. She taught herself how to live again, not as a wife, not as a caretaker, but as an individual. And as she began to succeed on her own terms, it became clear that she was unstoppable. And then there was Meri. Meri Brown was the first wife, the original, the cornerstone of a family that once believed it could redefine love. But in the years that followed, Meri became invisible, left out, forgotten. Her relationship with Kody had been crumbling for over a decade. Exacerbated by catfishing scandals, miscommunication, and cold indifference from her husband. Meri stayed for hope, for faith, for the family. But that faith eventually transformed into something else, self-awareness. Meri entered therapy, began journaling, and slowly began putting the pieces back together. She took solo trips, began posting videos filled with humor and wisdom, and even hinted at launching her own coaching program to help women rediscover their worth. The final break with Kody, emotionally and spiritually, wasn't just painful, it was awakening. In her healing, Meri discovered a forgotten passion, writing. She began documenting her journey, first in private journals, then on blogs. Eventually, she began working on a memoir that might soon see the light of day. She wasn't looking for sympathy. She was offering solidarity. Meri became a quiet yet powerful voice for women who stayed too long, loved too hard, and finally chose themselves. Each of these women, Kody, Janelle, Meri, chose different roads. But their destinations shared one common thread: freedom. As their stars rose, Kody Brown's began to dim. Once surrounded by multiple wives and children, Kody now found himself in a quieter, more desolate existence. With only Robyn remaining by his side, the echoes of what used to be haunted him. Gone were the chaotic dinners, family meetings, and bustling holidays. The silence wasn't just physical, it was emotional. The once vibrant leader of the Brown family now sat in reflection, questioning where it all went wrong. The choices he made, the favoritism he displayed, the control he held on to until it pushed everyone away. Kody had always struggled with balancing affection and authority, but as the women left one by one, he was forced to face the man in the mirror. His children, too, had grown distant. Many were vocal in their disappointment, calling out hypocrisy and broken promises. Public criticism mounted. Social media turned against him. And in the rare glimpses of him we see now, there's a visible weight on his shoulders. Regret is a heavy companion. But redemption isn't off the table yet. As 2025 unfolds, there are murmurs of mended fences. Kody has begun attending therapy, both solo and with some of his older children. Robyn remains with him, but their relationship is strained, not by outsiders, but by the choices that led them here. Robyn, once seen as the favorite, now finds herself in a complex, painful dynamic. The life she entered with wide eyes in 2010 is not the life she now leads. Though she and Kody appear united, the absence of the sisterhood, the tension from the past, and Kody's own inner demons cast shadows over their home. So where does the Brown family go from here? Can Kody repair relationships he once neglected? Can Robyn redefine her role without resentment? Will Christine, Janelle, and Meri continue forging their own paths? Or is there still a flicker of connection left between the former wives? Whatever the answers may be, one thing is certain.
Yep, me either.
I do not know why. I'm still holding on. A little.
The calm before the collapse, there's something haunting about silence. Not the kind that soothes you after a long day or the hush that follows a lullaby. No, this was the kind of silence that screamed. It was the quiet between breaths, when everything you once believed in hangs by a thread. It was the silence in Kody Brown's living room, now emptied of laughter, of footsteps echoing down hallways, of the chaos only a big family can bring. The Brown family, once held up as a paragon of polygamous possibility, had reached its breaking point. The dream had died. And what was left in its place was regret, estrangement, and raw, unfiltered emotion. Act I. What happens when the dream collapses? Kody once stood proud, a man with 4 wives, 13 children, and a belief that plural marriage was his divine calling. The cameras rolled, the world watched, and for a while it all worked. Or at least, it looked like it. But what happens when the foundation is cracked? What happens when love becomes competition? When connection becomes control? Christine was the first to say it out loud. I deserve more. And with that declaration, a domino fell. In 2021, she walked away from the decades-long entanglement, reclaiming her voice and in many ways, reclaiming her life. Janelle followed with a quieter strength, less explosive, but no less final. She didn't rage. She simply stopped waiting, stopped sacrificing, stopped hoping he'd come around. Meri clung on the longest, but even she had a breaking point. After years of emotional starvation, of being sidelined, humiliated, and ignored, she finally walked. Away, not with anger, but with sorrow and clarity. I was already gone. I just didn't know it yet, she said in one of the most gut-wrenching moments of the tell-all. And Robyn. She was the last wife standing. Act 2. The weight of being. The favorite to the world, Robyn was Kody's chosen one. The legally bound wife, the emotional refuge, the woman he chose to stand by when all others fell away. But being the favorite came with a cost. Once the sisterhood shattered, Robyn found herself isolated, not just from the others, but from the very family she thought she was joining. Her attempts to stay connected to Christine, to Janelle, to Meri, all failed. At first, she tried to host family dinners, reach out through texts, keep traditions alive. But as time passed, the air turned colder. Messages went unanswered. Holidays became awkward or worse, non-existent. By 2025, the friendships were gone. And in the stillness of her lavish new home, Robyn realized something chilling. She had won the man, but lost the family. Act 3. Dollars, dolls, and disillusionment amid the emotional wreckage. Another storm brewed. Money. Janelle had once trusted in the family's financial unity. Everyone pitched in. Everyone shared. But cracks emerged. Janelle watched as large sums were withdrawn from the family fund without explanation. Questions were deflected. Receipts never shown. And all the while, Robyn's lifestyle grew more extravagant. Internet sleuths discovered a connection between Robyn and an Etsy account, one that had reportedly spent over $60,000 on collectible dolls and cookware in 2024 alone. Cookware dolls, while Meri and Janelle fought for their rightful share of the Coyote Pass property. The betrayal wasn't just emotional now, it was financial. And that kind of wound leaves scars. Act IV. The Tell-all that told too much, June 1st, 2025. Part 2 of the Sister Wives Season 19 Tell-all aired. And this time, they didn't hold back. Robyn sat face-to-face with Sukanya Krishnan, trembling slightly, but determined. I think there's a lot of focus on me, she said, barely above a whisper. I grow weary of it. When pressed about Janelle's now infamous sacred cow remark, Robyn smirked. "Moo," she said with a fake laugh. "Anyway, I don't care, but the audience did, and so did the other wives." Meri's voice cracked when she said, "I don't think it's fair for him to ask us to change just because he started dating Robyn. I'm Meri. I don't want to be her." "I won't be." And the viewers, they saw it all. Act V. Kody's final confession, perhaps the most jarring moment, came when Kody himself sat down for his solo interview. Looking aged, weary, and visibly shaken, he finally opened up. "I'm jealous of mothers," he said. "They show unconditional love. Dads are expected to show tough love. Moms listen. Dads fix things. It was supposed to be introspective. Instead, it felt like a deflection. Fans exploded. My dad cried when I left for college." "Kody has no excuse," one viewer wrote. Another, "You don't need to fix things. You just need to show up." The backlash was swift, unforgiving, and deeply emotional. Act 6. Garrison's absence, a family's grief in the final episode. The screen went black before fading into a quiet montage, photos, memories, and tears. A tribute to the late Garrison Brown. His absence wasn't just mourned, it was felt. Every word Kody said afterward was filtered through that grief, and every omission. It echoed. Christine wept. Janelle held her composure barely. Meri, for once, was silent. And Kody tried, but it was clear. There were things he would never be able to fix. Act 7. A new house, an empty home following the season's end. Kody and Robyn moved into their newest Arizona mansion, a 7-car garage, guest house, RV space, $2, $1 million. From the outside, paradise. Inside, echoes. A beautiful house filled with furniture, but not footsteps. Walls lined with art, but not laughter. They sold the Flagstaff home for $1.775 million. They turned a profit, but at what cost? Robyn had always imagined this life as her reward for patience, for faith. But faith, once fractured, doesn't restore easily. Final act, what now? As of mid-2025, the Brown family isn't what it once was. Christine is thriving in Utah with a new love and new light in her eyes. Janelle is focused on her children and self-worth. Meri is healing, finding strength in solitude. And Kody, he's trying to redefine fatherhood, husbandhood, manhood. But the fans, they've seen the journey. They've watched love turn into duty, devotion turn into bitterness, and unity collapse under the weight of ego and favoritism. The story isn't over. But the chapter of Sister Wives as we knew it, that's closed. And in its place, we're left with the question, can anything real be built from the ashes of illusion? Intro in a season that promised closure. What we got instead was a raw unraveling of decades-long tension, love lost, and voices finally rising from the shadows. Sister Wives Season 19 has shaken the fandom to its core. And the tell-all wasn't just another reunion, it was a reckoning. For the first time, the 3 women who carried the emotional labor of a collapsing family stood up and said, enough. Christine, Janelle, and Meri are no longer bound by the silence that once held them captive. They're no longer tiptoeing around Kody Brown's fragile ego or walking on eggshells around Robyn's carefully crafted narrative. And the truths they revealed. They're not just shocking, they're heartbreaking. But they're also freeing. This is the story of how 3 women rose from spiritual subjugation, emotional starvation, and public humiliation to finally own their voices. Part 1. Kody's final admission. It began with an eruptional, passionate tirade where Kody compared polygamy to parenting. "Try that," he said, his voice shaking with rage. "Every one of your kids has a different connection with you. Same with friends. Some people connect differently. Some give you more satisfaction. You find more love. And then get slapped for it." But then came the moment that stunned the audience into silence. My relationship with Robyn has a heavenly component, and I'm tired of feeling guilty for enjoying Robyn. There it was. The confession fans had suspected for years. Kody didn't just favor Robyn, he idolized her. And in doing so, he emotionally checked out of his other marriages, relegating Christine, Janelle, and Meri to spiritual leftovers. The floodgates opened. Social media lit up. For many, it wasn't just betrayal, it was validation. Part 2. The wives respond, Meri and Janelle weren't buying it. Not anymore. When host Sukanya Krishnan gently probed Kody's claim that he wanted to love all his wives equally, Janelle scoffed. It would have been great if he said that to me back then. Then came the hammer blow. He never said that to me, not once. Meri, who had once held on to hope longer than anyone, was no longer interested in pretending. I will not be like Robyn, she said defiantly. Robyn is not someone I wish to emulate. I am my own individual. It was a statement that echoed through the fandom. Viewers, long frustrated by Kody's apparent demand that his wives morph into some softened version of Robyn, finally saw Meri draw her boundary. It wasn't about jealousy, it was about dignity. Part 3. Christine's catharsis. Christine, once the sunshine of the Brown family, spoke with a quiet heartbreak that pierced deeper than rage ever could. It's embarrassing to admit, she confessed, eyes shimmering with emotion. But Kody's needs took over my life. Even when he wasn't there, I was planning for him, accommodating him, fixating on him. He didn't just enter our lives. We had to rearrange ours around him. She had lived invisibly, played cheerful, pretended it didn't hurt. But this time, Christine didn't smile through the pain. She claimed it owned its hand in doing so, released it. For the first time in years, she wasn't speaking for peace. She was speaking for herself. Part 4. The system was never fair. The question fans had long whispered suddenly roared into the spotlight. Did Kody ever love the others the way he loved Robyn? Or was the entire foundation of their plural marriage a carefully curated illusion? Janelle's take was damning. Maybe he thought he did, but love isn't about control. Love doesn't need hierarchy. Christine nodded in agreement. The problem wasn't Robyn. The problem was that she became the standard, and we were all measured against her. Robyn, for her part, wept through much of the tell-all, insisting she never wanted to be the favorite. But viewers weren't convinced. Many noted the contradiction in her sorrow. She never gave up the position she claimed to hate. Part 5. Meri's unseen suffering. Meri's journey, perhaps the most tragic, finally found its voice. For over a decade, she had clung to hope, to the memory of a man who once loved her. But when asked whether Kody could ever have loved her the way he loved Robyn, Meri's voice cracked with truth. Only if he accepted me. And he didn't. For the last 12 or 14 years maybe, more he didn't. This wasn't just overlooked. She was emotionally discarded. Fans watched with tearful eyes as Meri unspooled years of heartbreak. Her story wasn't just about a marriage, it was about surviving erasure. Part 6. Life after Kody, a rising phoenix. But this isn't a story of victims. It's a story of rebirth. Christine, now happily married to David Woolley, has transformed. From the woman who whispered apologies to the one writing bestsellers. In 2025, she unveiled her memoir, Sister Wife, a memoir of faith, family, and finding freedom. Dressed in a bold red blazer, Christine looked radiant, a woman reborn. Airbnb business in Hurricane, Utah is thriving. She posts joyful family outings with David and her daughter, Truly. She laughs louder, shines brighter, and doesn't apologize for it. Part 7. Janelle's rooted strength. Janelle has taken a quieter but no less powerful path. Her farm, Tata Farms, has blossomed. So has her relationship with her kids. She's not chasing love, she's cultivating peace. And for a woman once caught in Kody's storm, that's everything. She, too, has made her voice known, calm but firm. I needed to live my life on my terms, not wait for Kody to decide if I mattered. Part 8. Meri's Worthiness and Meri. She found her voice in Worthy Uppa Project, not just about business, but about belief. After being told for years that she needed to change to be loved, Meri finally realized she was worthy all along. In a recent live stream, Meri looked straight into the camera and said, "I spent too long trying to earn love. But love shouldn't be earned. It should be given freely. And if it's not, then it's not love." Conclusion: Truth Over Tradition, Season 19 of Sister Wives wasn't just another chapter. It was the climax of a story about faith, control, love, and liberation. It pulled back the curtain on a family dynamic that many saw as unique but which at its core mirrored the struggles of countless women to be seen, to be heard, and to be loved without condition. Kody Brown may have finally revealed his truth, but so did the women who stood by him far too long. And in doing so, they didn't just expose the cracks in a plural marriage, they broke free from it. As part 2 of the Talal looms, fans aren't just tuning in for drama. They're watching for truth, healing, and the rise of women who will no longer be silent. Subscribe, share your thoughts, and leave a comment below. Do you think Kody ever really saw his other wives? Or was Robyn always the only one he wanted to see? Stay tuned. The truth isn't done speaking. Subjugation, emotional starvation, and public humiliation to finally own their voices. Part 1. Kody's final admission. It began with an eruptional, passionate tirade where Kody compared polygamy to parenting. "Try that," he said, his voice shaking with rage. "Every one of your kids has a different connection with you. Same with friends. Some people connect differently. Some give you more satisfaction. You find more love. And then get slapped for it." But then came the moment that stunned the audience into silence. "My relationship with Robyn has a heavenly component, and I'm tired of feeling guilty for enjoying Robyn." There it was, the confession fans had suspected for years. Kody didn't just favor Robyn, he idolized her. And in doing so, he emotionally